On a quiet June night in Los Angeles, two lives were taken in a way that shocked an entire nation. A crime so brutal, so sudden, that nearly 3 decades later, the questions, the emotions, and the controversies still refuse to fade. And behind it all stands a man once celebrated as a national icon, O.J. Simpson. How did a story of fame, success, and family descend into one of the most contentious criminal cases in American history? Tonight, we revisit that case with a calm, steady lens, looking not for sensationalism, but for understanding. What truly happened on that night? What did investigators uncover? Why did the justice system deliver 2 different outcomes? And why does this case still stir such strong feelings today? To understand the tragedy, we begin with the lives at the center of it. Nicole Brown Simpson was the mother of 2 young children. Friends described her as warm, lively, and deeply devoted to her family. Ronald Goldman was a young man working at a local restaurant, known for his kindness and positive energy. On the evening of June 12, 1994, Ron stopped by Nicole's home simply to return a pair of glasses her mother had misplaced. What should have been a small act of courtesy instead placed him directly in the path of a violent crime. Investigators pieced together a timeline. Sometime between 10 and 11 p.m., both Nicole and Ron were attacked outside her condominium in Brentwood. By early morning, police had identified O.J. Simpson, Nicole's ex-husband, as a person of interest. What followed would grow into one of the most publicized criminal cases in American history. The early evidence appeared overwhelming. Blood drops matched Simpson's DNA. Shoe prints at the scene matched rare and expensive shoes linked to him. Fibers, hair, and a trail between the crime scene and his home pointed in his direction. And behind this evidence stood a documented history of domestic violence. Years of calls, reports, and terrifying incidents that had escalated over time. Many believe these patterns formed a clear picture of motive: jealousy, control, and anger. But the story did not unfold so simply. The investigation and trial were shaped by problems that would define the outcome. Police allowed footprints to be disturbed. Evidence was collected with improper technique. Items were moved before being photographed. Questions were raised about contamination, credibility, and the presence of bias. The defense team seized upon each, weakness pointing to mishandled samples and contradictions among investigators. In the middle of this conflict stood the nation, watching every turn. When Simpson failed to surrender to police and instead fled in a white Ford Bronco, the chase was broadcast live across America. It became a symbol of confusion, fear, and disbelief. When the trial began, it became clear that this was not only a legal battle, but a cultural one, a clash of race, celebrity, police mistrust, and media frenzy. The courtroom became a stage, and every detail became part of a larger, heated national debate. Inside that courtroom, the prosecution argued that the physical evidence told a single, consistent story, but the defense worked to dismantle confidence in each piece, questioning the motives of investigators, highlighting past misconduct within the police department, and suggesting that evidence could not be trusted. Even among legal experts today, the handling of evidence remains one of the most discussed elements of the case. Witnesses, too, played complex roles. Some were not used because they sold their stories publicly, raising doubts about reliability. Others struggled under cross-examination, presenting openings for the defense. The moment that became most iconic, the glove demonstration, turned into a turning point. When the glove did not appear to fit Simpson's hand, the defense delivered a line that would echo through history: "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." In October 1995, the jury delivered a verdict of not guilty. Outside the courthouse, reactions were divided. Some celebrated the decision as a victory against systemic injustice. Others were devastated, seeing it as a failure to hold a powerful man accountable. Inside that courtroom, observers noted the contrasting expressions: Simpson's relieved smile and the stunned, almost shaken look on the faces of those close to him. Yet the story did not end with the criminal trial. In 1997, the families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman filed a civil lawsuit. Using the same evidence but facing a lower legal standard, Proof by a preponderance of the evidence? The jury found Simpson liable for the wrongful deaths. He was ordered to pay damages, though much of that judgment remains unfulfilled. Over the years, public interest in the case has only intensified. Documentaries, interviews, and retrospectives revisit the events with new analysis and emotion. One of the most controversial moments came with Simpson's hypothetical narrative in his book, If I Did It, and a recorded interview describing how events might have occurred. Some viewers found his manner unsettling, the shifts in perspective, the vivid detail, the introduction of an unnamed companion figure. Others cautioned that the narrative was framed as fiction and holds no legal weight. Legally, nothing in these accounts changes the reality. Simpson cannot be retried for the murders due to double jeopardy. Still, debates continue. Some question whether an accomplice existed, though no credible evidence has ever substantiated that idea. Others focus on alleged police misconduct, distinguishing between mishandling of evidence and intentional tampering, which was never conclusively proven. A small number explore alternative theories, but none have matched the physical evidence that pointed consistently in one direction. Across these discussions, one truth remains. Despite the enormous volume of analysis, no genuinely new evidence has ever emerged to alter the core facts. Beyond the crime and the courtroom, the case forces us to confront broader issues. It highlights how domestic violence, once minimized or dismissed, can escalate into devastating consequences. It underscores the importance of proper forensic procedures, as even small errors can shape the outcome of a trial. And it reveals how deeply public trust in institutions influences the perception of justice, especially in moments charged with racial tension and historical wounds. For those who knew Nicole and Ron, the pain of that night never truly fades. Friends recall their kindness, their optimism, and the futures they never had the chance to pursue. Their families have spent decades seeking acknowledgement, understanding, and closure, even as the public continues to debate the case in ways that reopen old wounds. And for society, the case remains a mirror, reflecting our struggles with fairness, truth, and the weight of celebrity. It shows how a single night can become a symbol, and how that symbol can shape conversations for generations. As we look back, perhaps the most important question is not only who was responsible, but what we can learn. What does this case teach us about the limits of the legal system, the importance of protecting victims, and the role each of us plays in demanding accountability? These are questions that still matter today, long after the courtroom lights dimmed. What do you think about this case? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe so we can uncover more stories together. This content is compiled and analyzed based on publicly available information and open discussions.